Hello, this is AnlineOffline. Welcome back to another Casuals Quick Guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the CBR4. Introduced in Season 10 of 2021, the CBR4 is a fully automatic personal defense weapon. It's unmistakably based on the P90, a recurring weapon in the Call of Duty franchise appearing in all of the Modern Warfare games, Online, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 2, 3, and 4. According to the pre-Gunsmith game files, Black Ops 3's Weevil was originally going to be added, and join the likes of its fellow Treyarch P90s, the PDW and Cordite, but they'll get their own videos in the near future. A personal defense weapon, or PDW, is an intermediate between an SMG and carbine, designed to fire a cartridge that could penetrate body armor. FN's P90 was intended to be used by transport and rear echelon troops in the event of an invasion by Soviet paratroopers. Its 5.7x28 cartridge is smaller than the traditional 9x19 Parabellum, but travels much faster, trading stopping power for improved penetration. In the CRISAT trials, FN's P90 and 5.7 pistol squared off against their German rivals, the MP7, UCP pistol, and 4.6x30mm cartridge by Heckler & Koch. A universal standardized weapon is difficult to agree on, but it's more important for a military alliance like NATO to adopt a standardized cartridge. Unlike the 5.7, which had an aluminum core and a steel tip, H&K's 4.6 was mostly steel with a brass jacket, giving it the slight edge in terms of penetration. But FN's 5.7 did have the greater wounding potential and stopping power because of its slicker diameter. Both succeeded in penetrating the CRISAT armor, but it's important to note that these paled in comparison to true Soviet armor at the time. The MP7 had a more ergonomically conventional design compared to the P90, which resembled something out of a sci-fi film. But the P90 had more ammo, and FN's designs were considered more mature because the 5.7 pistol was already in service, whereas the UCP was still a prototype. Both France and Belgium were on board with pushing for the adoption of the 5.7. Germany vetoed it, and no agreement was reached. Both have seen adoption by various police and special forces around the world. Other than that, neither the 5.7 nor 4.6 were developed to be backwards compatible with previous 9mm SMGs. It's also important to acknowledge America's lack of involvement in these trials. America had previously strong-armed their fellow allies into adopting the 7.62 and 5.56, but this time around, they were no longer concerned with a potential Russian invasion of Europe, as they turned their attention elsewhere. Base damage per shot is low, but is made up for by its fire rate of 800 rounds per minute. Base time to kill is slower than average in close and mid ranges, but is average from afar, with an effective range of 25 meters. With the nerfed body multipliers, the CBR4 is less likely to shorten its time to kill except for in close ranges. Headshots, however, can be of value. Other than that, the CBR should be used aggressively. Even though the P90 was intended to be lightweight and compact, the CBR's movement speed is on the slower end of the SMG class. Its sprint to fire was slightly nerfed recently. Besides that, the ADS time and reload speeds are good for a weapon with as much ammo as it does. Previously average, the CBR's bullet spread accuracy is now below average, no longer suited for distant engagements. The recoil is moderately light, but its pattern is nothing complicated. Hipfire spread is somewhat average, but is enhanced by its fast fire rate. Subjectively, the iron sights are fine. When the CBR4 was first released, most people didn't like it. The recoil was difficult for most, and it wasn't immediately meta upon release like how it was for some weapons in 2021. When the recoil was buffed the following season, it became a viable alternative to the Type 25. And when the Type 25 was nerfed, the CBR4 became the de facto best weapon for flexible playstyles. With the recent nerfs, the CBR4 is now confined to SMG ranges, and the Peacekeeper now being elevated to fill its vacancy. Even though it's not as flexible as it used to be, it's still a good weapon. So does it need any further changes? I don't think so. The only thing that I can think of, which is more of a nitpick than anything, is that it has the same penetration as an AR. Now, I understand that the 5.7 cartridge is supposed to have more penetration than a 9mm, but both the PDW and Cordite are P90s, and they only penetrate as little as a normal SMG does. Its German rival, the MP7 or QXR as it's known in mobile, doesn't penetrate as much as the CBR. The MSMC is chambered in 5.56 MINSAS, and supposedly has greater penetration than either of those, and yet it doesn't. I would mention the Chicom, but it's most likely based on the civilian export of the Type 05, and not its military version chambered in 5.8 DAP. The AGR RUS and Razorback or AUG AKS 74U and F2000 are all chambered in rifle cartridges, but they don't penetrate like a rifle. But that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's quick guide. Feel free to suggest what guns you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.